The number is 896-1980. AM980 The Eagle.
Good morning. It's the Eagle Info Hour. Who could that be playing piano? You know, I do know a piano player. His name is W.B. Ward, and he loves playing piano. He also does every day here on the show, the Ward's Daily Almanac. W.B., good morning.
Well, good morning, my good friend.
How's life for you these days?
Oh, it has been a series of dramas.
Now, when I think of the word drama, I always think of, a lot more. I expect to hear it more from a woman than I do a guy. But you got a lot of drama going on in your life. I know that you've mentioned on Facebook about your mom and that kind of thing, and your brother.
Yeah, brother's starting to show some improvement though. Mm-hmm. My mom's now in the nursing home, and between my little brother and myself, our schedules are just really split up.
I was really touched to see that you had played a private concert for your mom in her golden moments here at the home that she's in now. And was that a special connection for you too?
Actually, it was, and I hate to admit this, but it was somewhat of a selfish reason because I live in an upstairs apartment, and so for years my mother has not been able to come up. And I have, of course, in my studio, I have my piano set up in there. So this was a rare occasion where I actually got to sit down and play for my mom, which, gosh, I haven't done that in over 10, 15 years. It's been since I've had that luxury. So, yeah, it was a special moment for me, but a little bit on the selfish side. But I'm hoping Mom really enjoyed it, too.
How sweet. I think that's a good son that you're showing yourself to be, and I hope you have a chance to continue that too. You know, since we last talked, there's a portion of what you do that I think has really exploded from everything I'm hearing, and that's this thing called audio books. And I know you've worked with young Alex on our staff here and recorded his penmanship. And
that is a great book he wrote tw, by the way.
Good moment to plug that. Thank you. Yes.
Man, I'm telling you, I got, for those of you who have some, I was going to say young people in your family, but actually here I am at 56. I really enjoyed the book too. The imagery that he has in there, it's all a story told from the standpoint of a dog named Shamal. And so at some point I'll let Alex, really expand on that. But man, his imagery that he has in there really brought back some memories of high school for me.
Cool.
Now, before I say this, let me say beyond a shadow of a doubt, it's a great, wholesome book. It really has nothing to do with any kind of chemicals or anything. But having gone to high school in the 70s, some of the imagery in there made me think of the times when we heard people going, "Oh, wow, I see it." It's really a great book.
And hey, WB, it might be similar to Alice in Wonderland, probably, because Lewis Carroll was a minister. So
yes, that's true.
That unleashed imagination, not propelled by chemical stimulation, is indeed, I think, a form of genius, isn't it?
And now that I can appreciate that while I'm sober, it's even better.
Well, I'm glad you're sober too. Now, but this is an example, the book you're talking about that young Alex wrote, of something you're doing apparently quite a bit of. What do you have to do? How does this work for you to do an audio book, and how is that a different kind of discipline than anything else you've been doing?
Well, I got to tell you, I thought it was going to be just a walk in the park. Because having been in radio for 30 plus years, producing a show on a daily basis, I thought, well, all I do here is just record my voice. I'm finding out this is far more difficult than anything else. If for no other reason, as you know, on my last birthday, I turned 56. Just the amount and the variety of noises that come from the human body at the age of 56 makes that a big challenge just by itself. Plus, you're doing all of the characters. You're doing all of the, in some cases, in some books, special dialects, accents. Gosh, it really is quite complex.
So it's not, it really is not just reading words off of a page. You are, in fact, there's a level of skill and even acting involved in order to pull these characters off?
The best example I can give is if you've ever read a nighttime story to a youngster, you dare not do that unless you're willing to get into the characters. Mm-hmm. And here we do this on over the basis of a book length. Now, Alex's book, as I recall, is maybe a couple of hours. Well, I don't know if it's a couple of hours long or not, but I have some books that are as long as, I think the longest book I have is Closest Enemies, and as I recall, that was close to like about 12 to 13 hours.
Oh, my gosh. And it took you that long to record it or longer to record it?
Oh, much longer.
What is the ratio for an hour of book recording that I would listen to? How much time is there invested on behalf of the book reader, to get it there?
No less than 3 hours. And
why is that?
Well, you have to read it first before you do anything else to prepare for the characters, understand, what's going on. So it's, from that standpoint, it is acting. Then the actual recording, and nothing happens in the first take. Sometimes I have to say the same thing several times before I have the right inflection. I'm not pronouncing something right. Could be any one of a number of things. Then on the playback and the mix down, editing out all of the extraneous sounds, some of what I gave you an example of a moment ago, getting rid of all those, then processing the information, uploading it, and waiting for the author to come back with a message saying, hey, could you do that over again?
Holy moly. That's now.
That can happen.
The intriguing thing to me, too, is having experimented with different voices, it's one thing to do just a few words in a characterized voice, a voice characterization. It's quite another to be able to duplicate that over hours and hours and hours and hours. So it's the same voice that you heard at the beginning of the book as you do at the end. Because it's real easy I would think, for most folks to migrate where, I might start with a fake Irish accent and morph into more of a Italian or Scottish or something. How do you fine tune that to the point where it's utterly consistent, which I'm sure is part of what you want to deliver?
I don't know. It works. That's really about the only thing that I can say. And two, one other thing that a lot of people don't realize, when you're listening to a recording, the first half of a sentence may have been recorded on, say, Monday. Mm-hmm. The last half of that very same sentence may not have been recorded until Thursday. And you have to have some good editing skills in there to put those together in such a way so that it just sounds like it was just happened all in one setting. But it is a lot of fun. I enjoy the creativity and the construction of it.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to come back and continue our always fascinating discussion with W.B. Ward. He is the bringer of Ward's Daily Almanac on the program here every morning. You hear it on AM980 The Eagle. And we're going backstage a little bit with Ward's Daily Almanac and W.B. Ward. And he went through recently a pretty big trial, and I don't mean in a court of law. We'll get to that coming up, too.
Call now. The number is 896-1980, AM980 The Eagle.
Good morning. The Eagle Info Hour rolls on this morning. We have our guest is W.B. Ward of Ward's Daily Almanac joining us today. By the way, coming up at 10 o'clock, we'll have Laura Ingram. We'll have Dennis Miller at noon today. Michael Savage will be on board about 3 o'clock today. So all day lined up for you with AM 980 The Eagle. With W.B. Ward right now. And W.B., how long has it been? A few months ago, you had your car stolen.
Oh, man, I tell you, it has been just a series of bumps here lately. Yeah, I woke up one morning to do my usual work at about 3 in the morning. I walked downstairs to go to the store, and I look out there, and I felt like a 9-year-old who had just discovered a missing tooth, because right where a car used to be was this great big old open, gaping space.
That's never happened to me before, thankfully, that I've never suffered something like that. By the way, you start every day at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning?
Usually about 1.
How old? How much do you sleep?
Not a whole lot. I usually try to go to bed by about, logically around 7, but usually it doesn't happen until around 9 or 10 sometimes.
So you're getting by on 3.5, 4 hours of sleep, 5 hours maybe.
That's about right. Yeah.
That's enough to kill an average man, I think, isn't it?
Well, that's just what I get for being so just gosh darn cute. It gives you that extra stamina. Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of folks might be able to relate, though, to whether it's having a car stolen or something removed from their life without their consent in some way. And I know that was it was like a bell went off for you. It would be for anybody. You're thinking, something's not right. A car's not here. And you depend on this certainly for your livelihood at many levels. And
Oh, yeah.
So how did you navigate through that? And ultimately, how did things come to be that you were restored?
Well, as it turns out, having the car stolen, as negative as it was, it really turned out to be just a really great experience. I mean, I had some tremendous friends who came through, helped me get established where I was able to get that car replaced quickly. And so, one friend of mine out in Nevada who's listening in this morning, by the way. Hello, Mike. He was very instrumental in helping me out here locally. A pair of friends of mine, John and Lauren, who have been dear sweethearts with me for years. They helped me get into a car fairly quickly. And as it turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because when everything happened with my mom and my brother, my younger brother, who is also Tim, who's also helping us through all this, his car wound up being in the shop. So for a little while, I was the only person with reliable transportation. So had it not been for that car being stolen, we would have been in a world of hurt, because the car that was stolen was a 93 Chevrolet Caprice. Not exactly what I would call reliable. So it did. It all turned out well in the end.
Well, it's a great story that, you certainly wouldn't dial that in for anybody, and I'm sure, that certainly wasn't the desired result for you, but the way things turned out. And I think you get to an important point where you talked about Mike listening in Nevada and some of the people that really showed themselves to be involved and engaged with you in a powerful way, maybe that you didn't know before.
No, I had no idea. And to put it simply, Mike started a campaign where he actually asked people to make pledges to help me out into a PayPal account. Wow. And voila, next thing I know, I have a down payment for a car.
That's amazing.
It was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful.
That's amazing. Now, you live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right?
I do indeed. Or as much one can in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Well, yeah, I guess so. One thing I did read, though, I think it was Oklahoma. I don't know if it was immediately around Tulsa, but there were some earthquakes that were happening at a pretty high frequency. Was that? Yep. Is that happening in Oklahoma, and what's your take on that?
Well, there's a lot of controversy over whether or not the earthquakes are happening to a process called fraking, which I think is something done by the oil companies. But regardless as to the cause, it is kind of a neat way to wake up in the morning, to have your whole house just vibrating. And what's really interesting is whenever we have a tornado or a severe thunderstorm, to have the winds howling, the lightning flashing, the thunder rolling, and the ground shaking beneath your feet all happening at the same time, you really start reviewing your life really quickly. It's quite a sobering experience.
I would think so. One of the things that fascinate me about you are the number of disciplines that your life is directed. We mentioned you do music. You've written music. You certainly play music. You are an aficionado in professional wrestling or sports entertainment. You do a daily radio almanac show. I find it a stunning thing that you apparently get a little bit nervous before doing a live show.
Oh, are you kidding? It just drives me nuts.
Well, how can you be involved in all of these things and have all of this microphone time and all of this public performance time, and you still find yourself getting a little nail-bitey before going, for instance, live on a segment like this?
Well, at times I'm a little nuttier than the jaws of a squirrel in November, and I don't know. I've never gotten over my stage fright. That's something I've always had. I will always have it, and I kind of look at it as a mental way of. It's kind of a mental safety net. It keeps me from really doing something stupid, but it does. I can't explain it. I've just never really gotten rid of it.
Is it just because you want to? You want to do your best at every window of opportunity like that, and being live, you don't have the ability to go back and redo it? Is that the core of it?
Yeah, that's got to be. That has got to be. You've got to have nailed it. Because when I'm recording an audiobook or recording the almanac or even per se doing our weekly broadcast for the wrestling show you were talking about, there's a certain amount of safety net involved there, because we can go back, even though Chip and I have both agreed that we record that live. Sometimes we have gone back in and doctored things. But yeah, if I say something dumb here, it's just out there. Yeah.
And not only is it out there now, it's going out into the, as you know, into the cosmos for the projection of all of the Earth, space, time continuum forever and ever. So you can't erase it. It will always be there to haunt you.
That's why I'm wearing a tie.
Well, catch me up in the world of professional wrestling. I hear that Ric Flair might be coming back. Is that true?
There has been a rumor to that, and also there's been a rumor that Hulk Hogan may be positioning himself for a major challenge as well. These are both rumors that have been circulating around in the dressing rooms for quite a while, both on Ric Flair's end and on Hulk Hogan's end as well. I really got mixed feelings over whether or not I think either one of them should do it, because I think both of them are driving cars that are really running low on gas right now.
Well, that's nicely put. I mean, is it? Let's talk about Ric Flair for a minute. And is he at the point where he's got to be generating money because he is, got ongoing expenses, not the least of which are, judgments and that kind of thing?
Listen, all he has to do is walk out on a stage, and he's already hit the cash register 3 times just before he even gets to the microphone. So raising money for Ric Flair is not that big of a deal. Controlling that outgo that he has right now, that's
the magic bullet for him.
But yeah, he does indeed have a few expenses that he has to pay attention to at this particular time. So yeah, he's probably going to try to be kissing the canvas there a little bit just to help pay for that.
Kissing the canvas, is that a professional wrestling term?
No, actually, I just thought of it.
I like that. I came up with one this morning, and we talked emotional fracking. So we can talk about that sometime too. But the the thing about Ric Flair, I think, and probably Hulk Hogan is at this point, the best that they can do is go in the ring in a 3-piece suit and then get somebody, dragging them down. Is that where they are at this point in their career? Because deep into their, Ric Flair's close to mid-60s, isn't he?
He's got to be. He's got to be around there somewhere. Now, in Hogan's case, I think this is more of a matter of pride. In a recent telecast, one of the younger wrestlers went up to him on what was supposed to have been a birthday party for the Hulkster, went over to him and with the microphone, and in a very low voice said, "Party's over, Grandpa." As it turns out, that was not part of the script. It was something that was totally ad-libbed at the point at that time. And according to another website named TMZ, they're reporting that Hulk came out just dead set against that with a firm warning for that wrestler that if he ever stands in the way again, he's going to take matters into his hand in the ring.
Is there something about professional, and this, by the way, one of the most far-ranging discussions imaginable. We've talked about elder care. We've talked about stolen car. We've talked about books on audio. We're talking about professional wrestling. This is WB Ward. It is like an encyclopedia with every topic you could have, and you go as deep as you want. But is there something that happens to professional wrestlers and is it the whole intrigue of invincibility and playing a character that gets carried over into life? We got about 10 seconds for your answer. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Undoubtedly, yes, in all cases, and every person handles it differently.
Well, WB Ward, quite an inspiration as always to hear from you and get a touch of what's going on inside the mind that's behind our daily Ward's Daily Almanac installment here on AM980 The Eagle. We're proud to have you in Winston-Salem. WB Ward, you can find his website at wbward.com.